Welcome to the Payday with Rayray podcast, hosted by yours truly, Rachel Bell. I'm here to make your life easier as an entrepreneur and teach you everything I've learned about building multiple seven-figure online businesses. And on this podcast, I'll be giving you my best advice, trainings, and mindset shifts so you can grow your business and, most importantly, make every day your payday. Hi there, Payday Baybays. Welcome back to Payday with Rayray. In this episode, I'm talking about content creation, which is, in my opinion, one of my top skill sets and one of the things that if I could, start over from the beginning of time, that's definitely one of the first things I would focus on mastering. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't waste my time building a website and doing a bunch of other stuff that we generally find ourselves doing when we start our businesses. Instead, I would focus on the basics of amazing content creation. And when I'm talking about content creation, a lot of times I run into people who have this issue. They'll ask me, Rachel, everyone is saying that I'm inspirational and I'm motivating them. And because of me, they went out and they bought these exercise equipment, or because of me, they ended up taking my advice and doing X, Y, Z, but nobody's inquiring about my services. Like nobody's actually asking how they can work with me. They just keep saying, oh, you're inspirational, you're motivational. Thank you so much for your content. And the most frustrating thing in the world is creating content for the purpose of selling and then not selling. Not that it's bad to just give content for the sake of giving content, but if you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to grow your bank account and you're trying to grow your impact worldwide, baby, then what you need to focus on instead of being inspirational is focus on getting clients to hurl their credit cards at you through providing insane value and a clear call to action and a couple other ingredients that I'm going to break down in this episode. But first, a little something you didn't know about me and my background with content creation is that content and writing specifically has always been a huge passion of mine. For the last 6 or 7 years, I've studied psychology, neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, personal branding, and online influence through watching so many other people come up in this space and, creating my own come up in this space as well. And before I was a full-fledged entrepreneur, self-employed woman, I did a lot of content writing gigs for 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs through a company that I used to work for as a virtual assistant. And I had the opportunity to work with a lot of amazing big names, writing forewords to books, writing chapters of their books. And ultimately, the reason why they hired me over, other options was because I understood the basics of direct response copywriting. I understood how to create content that actually influences and not inspires. And the reason is I spent time educating myself on the basics of direct response advertising before I really got started with creating a ton of content online, which gave me an unfair advantage when it came time to posting content and creating pieces of writing, long form content, short form content, whatever you have, that actually set me apart from a lot of other people who were trying to do the same thing at the time. And I credit a lot of my success to the way that I write and the way that I'm able to create content. And so I want to break down the biggest things that I've learned in my entire entrepreneurial journey and ultimately what I teach my students inside of Online Coach Accelerator so that you know how to create content that actually converts and influences, not just inspires. Inside of Online Coach Accelerator, I have an entire module that is completely dedicated to content creation, all the way from starting with your niche, doing research about your niche and your ideal client avatar, finding out what their biggest problems are, creating content about it. It's a whole entire process that requires a lot more than just, a 20 or 30 minute podcast episode to really master. But in the meantime, I really wanted to give you the top 5 takeaways that I think you can implement right now and see dramatic results in the way that people respond to your content and ultimately the way that they buy from you and feel influenced to trust you and actually move forward with action, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're not just trying to create content that gets people to feel good. We're trying to create content that gets people to feel what they need to feel in order to take action to change their lives. That's what we're here to do as coaches, as service providers, and as consultants. And part of the reason why I think it's so important to absolutely nail your content creation strategy and to enhance these skill sets is because when you get started with organic social media, which is, and paid social media as well, your copy, which is the writing that you create and you produce, is going to be the make or break factor between someone just skimming over your ad or skimming over your posts and just scrolling onward, or someone stopping and actually absorbing what you have to say. And if you don't have the right communication skills and the right way to package your communication in a way that actually breaks through the noise and allows people to hear you clearly, your message will never be received, which is such a tragedy. There's so many of you who have amazing things to share, but you simply don't have the copywriting skills or the way of writing that allows people to feel captivated by what you're sharing. So I want to help you implement 5 core tips. And these are the same 5 core hacks or strategies, whatever you want to call it, that have helped me make millions through social media without paying for a single ad. I credit my entire revenue and my increase in my business and how it's grown exponentially over the past few years to my content creation skills almost directly. So I would definitely encourage every single one of you, if you are trying to market yourself even stronger in 2020, content creation needs to be a main focus for you, and you need to learn how to cut through the noise and get your message sent and received. So without any further ado, let's dive into the top 5 content creation hacks I would love to share with you so that you can exponentially increase your impact and income through creating content that sells. The first thing that you absolutely need to know about content creation is getting inside of your client's brain. Like literally get in there, live in there, and understand exactly what they're thinking about. So you need to tap into their inner dialogue and call out in your content their deepest fears, their most embarrassing beliefs, and ultimately you need to demonstrate that you understand what they're going through and that you really understand and can connect with their pain points. So, for example, is your client saying to themselves, "Man, I really want to awaken my inner goddess and nourish my soul and build self-love"? Or are they saying to themselves, "Oh, I feel like so uncomfortable in my body. I feel puffy. Why can't I just lose the last 10 pounds?" Right? Like really actually dive in to what your client is thinking about on a regular basis and address those things in your content. And a lot of times what I see as a big mistake that coaches will make in their content is they'll write to the type of consciousness level that they want their clients to be at or that they themselves are at, not the level of consciousness that their client is actually at. So remember this, if I were to write about business, as in, guys, business is really just about energy. You just need to be happy and abundant, and that's the secret to making $1 million. Although that might be very, very true, that's not really what level of consciousness my audience is at. They're not really able to take that information and put it into practice right away because there's so many other tactical questions they have and that they're focusing on, and that's truly what they're looking for. They're looking for tactical answers as well as mindset support. But just giving them the mindset support because as an expert, you know that that's all they need isn't truly serving them in their evolution of consciousness. You kind of have to start with where they're at and get inside their inner dialogue currently, and then guide them through a higher level of thinking as they could become your client and as you work together. So another example of how this wouldn't work is if I was trying to teach people how to grow their Instagram accounts and I was like, just create content that is truly authentic to you. That's really good advice, and I would never disagree with that. But at the same time, my audience has so many questions about what are the steps, what is the blueprint, what is the proven process? And because I know that that's the type of questions they're asking themselves in their inner dialogue, and that's the type of things you guys are wondering, and that's why you're watching this podcast episode or listening to this podcast episode, I'm going to give that to you. Even though I know, being authentic and at the high level, those are the answers. And I know that you just need a better mindset in order to be successful. I'm not just going to give you that and then just say, okay, good luck. I'm going to actually meet you where you're at, give you the tactical things that you need, and also guide you towards the truth, which is that mindset and energy and your level of alignment and authenticity is going to be the most important thing as you continue on your business journey. But you'll discover that on your own as you increase your level of awareness around yourself and your business. So when it comes to creating content for your client, you absolutely need to think about their inner thoughts first, not yours and not what you feel like saying. You need to think about what they need to hear today. And so a lot of people who are creating content online will ask themselves, okay, it's time to post on Instagram today. So what's one thing I want to talk about today? What's one thing that I'm currently going through or that's relevant in my life? Should I make a Christmas post? Should I make a New Year's post? Like, what am I up to right now that I want to share with my audience? And although that's one way to do it, it's not going to translate directly into sales quite often because you're not thinking about what your client needs to hear today. Instead, you're thinking, what do I want to share? Rather than what does my ideal client absolutely need to read today in order to move them forward and make them feel more safe, secure, and like they're experiencing progress through reading my content. So always focus on getting inside of your client's inner dialogue and really tapping into what their thoughts are really. And understanding that their thoughts that they have on a regular basis may not be the thoughts that you want them to have, but you need to understand their thoughts and you need to have compassion and empathy for those thoughts and actually address them so that you can level with them and let them know, hey, I know you're dealing with these types of thoughts. Here's how to get past that, or here's how to get past these problems that you're currently experiencing. So a quick way to get a little bit of momentum in this regard is to do some interviews with past clients that you've worked with or current clients that you've worked with and ask them so many questions about what their inner dialogue looks like. What's the first thing they think about when they wake up in the morning? What do they think about when they're having a mental breakdown? What do they think about when they are most angry? What do they think about when they're most happy? What do they think about when they're most relaxed or stressed? Like, what are the things that really trigger stress in them? How can you solve all of those problems with your content? To be the best content creator, you need to be on a hunt and have this insatiable hunger for solving the problems of your ideal client avatar. And if you can do that more than anyone else in your industry, more effectively and more simply, you will win. It's very simple. The second tip and the second content creation hack that I want to share with you is called direct response copywriting. This skill set is the main reason I'm able to generate millions from whatever social network I'm on. Writing compelling content and copy and developing your communication skills, like I said, is absolutely imperative to building trust and desire from your audience. And if I could choose only one skill to have forever, it would definitely be copywriting. So a little bit of context on copywriting. If you've never heard that term before, it means that you're writing content, or what we call copy, if we're just talking about text. We're writing copy for the sole purpose of getting the reader to take an action. And when we add on direct response copywriting to the term, what we're really talking about is we're writing copy for advertising so that we can get our reader to take an action so that we can eventually convert them to a sale. Okay, so direct response copywriting is a framework that I've used for years to not only share amazing information, but also share it in a formula that actually converts readers into clients. You know, not only just providing a ton of value. This isn't like a mind trick. Like, you can never trick someone into becoming a client of yours. You can package your content, though, in an irresistible way where someone's like, wow, like this is so compelling. This person really knows their shit. I'm totally willing and able to take on this person as my coach because it's just so clear that they know how to communicate in a compelling way. And ultimately, all coaching, all consulting, all service providing is sales. And infusing the sales process into your copy is absolutely so important if you want to make money online, especially through organic social media. When it comes to direct response copywriting, normally what I do to put this into action is I will look up some formulas for writing. And when it comes to writing content, it's not that you need to be creative at all. And that's a very, very common misconception. You think you need to be creative. You need to think of something that nobody's ever thought of before. And so you'll torture yourself for hours and hours on end trying to create content that is super original and fresh and creative and like comes from the channels of the universe flowing through your fingertips onto your laptop. That's just so much pressure to put on yourself. And if you're putting that much pressure on yourself on every single piece of content that you create, and you're trying to be the most original and the most artistic all the time, and you're trying to sell and you don't really know what you're doing either way, of course this becomes overwhelming, and then you just stop creating content overall, or you'll create half-baked content, or just like really want to stay quiet and you don't really know if what you're doing is good enough. And it's like this crazy insane loop that you can get yourself into. So here's my way of solving that loop. Stop trying to be creative and become scientific with your content structure. So there are specific proven copywriting formulas that you can follow in order to create the most compelling content possible. So one of the websites that I like using as reference most often is called copyhackers.com. And inside copyhackers.com, it's just a free website that you can use to look up all these different types of copywriting formulas for long form posts or short form posts or ads. You can just peruse on that website and read tons of different formulas, headlines, and things like that to get an idea as to what really works in marketing and what doesn't. This is one of the first websites that I ever found that really encapsulated the broad spectrum of what you can do using your words. And copyhackers.com, again, is just free. It's a great resource for you to just log on to and start reading all the different types of formulas that you can use in your copy so that you're packaging it into a step-by-step system and you're not just freeballing it and hoping for the best. That's one thing that I don't recommend doing, is just hoping for the best with your content. I recommend packaging it, putting it into a specific formula with a headline, something to intrigue the reader, the value, and then of course a call to action at the end as well. So that's a second tip. Definitely study and look into direct response copywriting, and copyhackers.com is a great resource for that. The third content creation hack is called polarization. So think about magnets. When it comes to your content, you kind of want to behave like a magnet. You either want to be highly, highly attractive or highly, highly repulsive. And honestly, if you're doing it right, you'll be both at the same time. When you are truly authentic and when you are truly stating the facts that you believe and you're really letting your freak flag fly, you will be polarizing. There are people who are going to love you and absolutely feel attracted to you and really latch onto your identity and feel inspired by that. And then there are people who will absolutely project onto you. They're not going to like it. They're going to hate it. They're going to be like, oh, this person's the worst. And that's just part of the game. If you look at any celebrity in the world or any person who's prominent online, you'll see that there's a lot of people who absolutely love them and a lot of people who absolutely hate them. And of course, none of it has actually anything to do with who they are or what they're saying. It's just the fact that they're taking a damn stand. And because of that, people are agreeing or disagreeing. So when it comes to your content, the worst thing you can do is be boring. The worst thing you can do is act like a textbook and just say, these are the facts, and not add any flavor to it. So whatever part of your personality you find that you're hiding, let it out and let it fly, let it rip. That's what I say, because people do not want dry ass information that they can just find on Google. They really want the information that you're providing, but with a unique style, a unique flair, and with your authentic voice. So if you can, and you definitely can, if you're watching this and you follow me for any reason, you're probably weird, just like me, and you probably feel attracted to me because you see that weirdness. So I recommend that you be polarizing, and you do that by being yourself. Like, what better way to really practice being yourself and love yourself than to be yourself, especially in your business? So think about a couple things that you could also make content on that would rock the boat and allow people to feel either attracted or repulsed by you. So what pisses you off about your industry? What are people doing wrong? What do you disagree with that is widely accepted? Start creating content that really allows people to see where you stand with everything. The fourth content creation hack that I'd love to share with you that is exponentially going to increase the success of your content is creating content for all phases of relationships. And when I say relationships, here's what I'm talking about. Inside your audience, there are people that range on a spectrum from not knowing you at all and being completely new to your corner of the internet to people who have been following you for maybe years or months and really know, like, and trust you. And then there's a pool of people who are in the middle where they're getting to know you, they're getting to like you, they're getting to trust you. They're not quite there yet where they're like, oh my gosh, here's my credit card. But they are in your audience, they're consuming your content, and they're getting to know you. So when you think about the spectrum of the types of people who follow you, from, the people who've never heard of you before and don't even know who you are, to the people who are ride or die fans, you need to be creating content for all of them, not just the people who know, like, and trust you. And a lot of times when I see content creators producing a lot of content, they forget that new people are joining their audience every single day. Like, new people are checking you out every single day. So are you creating content to introduce them into your community, or are you completely ignoring that? The same is true with people who are ride or die fans who have been with you forever. Are you creating content for them as well? A lot of times people just create content for people who are in the middle, like people who are in your audience, who are kind of learning to know, like, and trust you, but they're not quite there yet. But they don't create content for either ends of the spectrum. People who don't know you at all, don't like you at all, whatever, and people who absolutely love you. You need to create content for all different types of relationships that people have with you. Otherwise, you're missing out on an essential piece of introducing yourself to them and allowing them to grow inside of your community. So the names for these types of audience members are called cold leads, warm leads, and hot leads. Cold leads are people who do not know you at all. They've never heard of you. They are literally just cold. Like they've never been warmed up to you at all. So they don't know who you are. They don't know what your deal is. They don't know why you're important. They don't know how you can help. They don't know shit about you. So you have to be respectful in the way that you create content for these types of people. This means creating introductory posts, being like, hey, this is who I am. These are my personal philosophies. This is what I'm here to share. If we've never gotten to know each other, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's some results that I've created with my clients, and here's how I can help you in the future. And then you have the warm leads, the people who are kind of getting to know you, getting to like you, getting to trust you, but they're not quite there yet where they're like a ride or die fan, gonna buy anything that you put out there. That's not quite where they are. So they need more value. They need more proof that you are really as amazing as you claim to be through content and, trainings, lessons, and of course, through results that you share about your past clients or your past success. And then, of course, you have the hot leads, people who are totally bought into your brand. They know you, they like you, they trust you. They're just waiting for you to do a call to action so that they can hop on board and become one of your clients or customers. So when it comes to creating content here for all different types of relationships, your job is to create content that addresses your relationship with all of them. Inside of Online Coach Accelerator, this is one of our main focuses. I call it the content creation matrix, and I have a whole map of how to create content specifically for cold leads, warm leads, and hot leads, and what types of posts make each relationship convert into the next phase. Because your goal is to take cold leads into hot leads and to take hot leads into paying clients and customers. Obviously, that is what we're trying to do through social media presence, is to warm up everyone who's in our audience so that we can eventually support them inside of our businesses. So as you can imagine, it's very important that you have respect for every type of person and every type of relationship that exists inside of your audience, and you're not neglecting any portion of them. So the fifth and final content creation hack that I'd love to share with you is to write headlines for the primal reptilian brain. So this kind of ties back to one of the first content creation hacks I shared in this episode. But a lot of times when I see people creating content, they'll create headlines that seem very complicated. They're using extensive vocabulary, or they're being very spiritual and enlightened and using jargon or slang from their industry that potentially the client wouldn't know if they're a beginner, or the client wouldn't be introduced to, or at least they don't have an emotional, primal response to that type of wording and vocabulary. So this is something that gets overlooked in a lot of coaches' worlds because they want to be as intelligent and they want to appear as educated and evolved as possible. So what they'll do is they'll kind of peacock their spirituality, or they'll peacock how much they know by using complex vocabulary and things like that. But although that makes you feel really smart and important, if someone doesn't understand what you're saying, the message is not received. And the only thing that matters in business and with your audience is the fact that they got to receive your message. You got to send your message and they have to receive it, which means they need to understand it and they need to have a primal knowing and a response to what you're saying. They need to say, oh my gosh, yes, this is for me. And if they don't have the clarity around what you're sharing to have that primal response of I need this, this is for me, then you're not doing your job correctly. So on social media, you're competing with cat videos, you're competing with hilarious memes, you're competing with other coaches, you're competing with a lot of amazing entertainment and some of the best information in the world. And here's the trick. Whoever says it the simplest wins. You have to earn attention through social media. So instead of creating headlines that are drab or headlines that are too complex, for example, if you were the Matrix Creatrix Guide to Creating Content That Feels Enlightening and Authentic for Goddesses Who Want to Call in Their Soulmate Clients. That's really cool. And even someone in a spiritual background might understand cerebrally what you're saying, but it's not going to be the same thing as if you say, here's one trick you can do to land your next 3K client that feels like your best friend. Bam, just make it simple. Make it very, very simple. Make sure that you're communicating in a very direct, simple way, because what I always say to my students inside of Online Coach Accelerator is that clarity is way more powerful than cleverness. Clarity over cleverness always. So if you're trying to be clever in your content, just cut the shit. You don't need to work that hard in your content, but you do need to be clear for your clients. You need to make sure that whatever you're sharing is absolutely clear, it's precise, and it's compelling for your audience. So An example of how you can spice up a headline and how you can make a great headline into an amazing headline is doing something like this. So let's say that you have a recipe that you want to share with your audience. And initially your headline is "My avocado cacao smoothie recipe." That would be a very standard headline. That would be your go-to headline that anyone would logically make. But here's how to really make it enticing and to kind of create like a tabloid headline that garners attention and creates a primal response from people. I would call this headline something like this: "My magic smoothie that raises sex drive, sheds fat, and keeps me full all day." Do you see the difference there? It's like a completely different vibe. It's a completely different intrigue because you're saying it's the magic smoothie that does this benefit, and this benefit, instead of just saying this is what it is or creating it to be way too complex. Like if I had said a headline like "The smoothie that allows me to raise 5-HTP and tryptophan and serotonin in my brain while I blah, 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 blah." Like if your client doesn't actually know what those things are, that's not going to be important to them and they're not going to have a response to that. So you have to understand, where is my client at in terms of their journey of consciousness and how can I meet them there and make it as clear as possible for them. One app that I love using for all of my content before I post anything on Instagram, before I post any headline, through all my sales pages, here's what I do. I use a website called HemingwayApp.com. HemingwayApp.com is a place where you can just copy and paste your text, and it will tell you what the most complex parts of your sentences are, and it will tell you what grade of reading level your content is at. And I love keeping it at a very low grade reading level because people read fast. They skim. Whether you like it or not, people are skimming your content. So how can you deliver the message in a way that's simple, it's effective, and of course, it gets them what they need? And to finish up the fifth content creation hack, one thing that I also love to do is add numbers. And this just works like a charm. So if you add numerical steps to your educational posts, for example, the 3 detox tricks I use to beat the bloat, or the 5 tools I use to edit my photos. People have this unexplainable compulsion to read every point and to know every numerical step. And this also positions you as an authority because it proves that you have a method or a system to achieve results. So if I were to say, "This is how I edit my photos, full tutorial," instead of saying, "These are the 10 apps I use to edit my photos like a pro," it's just a different level of influence when you're writing your headlines like that, because it allows people to see, oh, this person has a system, they have a list, which means they're more organized, and this is easier content for me to consume in a list format. People respond really, really well with numbered lists. They respond really, really well with knowing what they're supposed to get from the post before they actually read it. That's why your headline is the most important thing you can spend your time doing. And one of my favorite quotes from David Ogilvy, who is the father of direct response advertising, he said, "If you create the right headline, 80% of your energy or your dollars is spent wisely." And it's so true because the headline is the make or break factor between someone reading the rest of your content or them just skimming through and ignoring you completely. So those are the 5 content creation hacks that I absolutely would encourage you to implement right now. Let me know if those helped and post a picture of your notes on Instagram and tag me in the posts that you create in the future because I would love to see you put these tips into action and see how they're working for you. And another thing that I want you to know is that your content can be amazing. It can be the best content you've ever created and your clients have ever seen in the world. But you also need to spend time mastering the fundamentals. And in upcoming podcast episodes, I'm going to talk about how to find the right niche, how to create a compelling offer that is absolutely irresistible for your ideal client avatar, and how to increase and enhance your sales skills so that you can close more deals, deal with objections on the phone with total ease, grace, and flow. And of course, you need to learn how to grow your audience as well, because if you are just creating content for warm leads and hot leads, you got to get some cold leads in there so you can warm them up and create more of an impact and an income for yourself through expanding your presence online. So if those are fundamentals that you feel like you can still grow in and you're looking for someone or something to guide you through those steps in sequential order so that you know that in 2020, you're going to absolutely crush it in your business. And if you're an online coach, like a health coach, mindset coach, fitness coach, relationship coach, dating coach, money coach, business coach, and you're looking to create all of this and repackage your entire expertise into something that is absolutely irresistible to your ideal client, and you want to hit those 10K months in your coaching business, I'd love to invite you to check out Online Coach Accelerator. And you've heard me talk about this before, but it is my 90-day signature business mentorship program specifically for online coaches. And inside of Online Coach Accelerator, you are given the complete roadmap to going from zero to creating a wildly profitable online coaching business. We cover niching, we cover mindset, we cover offer creation, we cover sales, we cover having 5-star relationships with your clients. We cover everything that you could possibly imagine, including so much dense and amazing information and frameworks and scripts about content creation. So if that's something that's interesting to you and you want to check it out and learn a little bit more about what we do inside of the program and how it works and what kind of support you're given, then I would invite you to check out www.onlinecoachaccelerator.com. Go there, check it out, read through the page, and if you like it and you want to get involved in our next class, which is opening February 1st, go ahead and add yourself to the waitlist. And the reason we put the waitlist into effect is because we have so much demand for the program, almost a little more than we can handle sometimes. We have to turn away a lot of applicants because we only want to take a specific amount of students every single round. So unfortunately, there's been almost too much demand for us to handle. And because of that, some people have missed out on their chance to join Online Coach Accelerator. But we are changing that with the waitlist. With the waitlist, you guarantee your spot by getting first notice when we open enrollment so that you can book your call, which is a quick little discovery call where we get to interview you about your business and understand what's really going on behind the scenes. And then we can tell you a little bit about OCA and if it's going to be a good fit for you. But if you add yourself to the waitlist, you are going to be the first to know when we open enrollment. And I'm going to send you even more trainings and tips, and you'll be able to see some of my content through email. So go ahead and add yourself to the waitlist just for the pure sake of learning from what I'm doing with my content creation strategy and to be the first to know when we open up enrollment for OCA. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And like I said, make sure that you tag me in your posts when you are putting these tips into action and let me know how it goes. Can't wait to see your results and have a happy, happy weekend. See you next payday. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did find it super valuable, you just want to share it with the world, make sure you screenshot, post, and tag me on Instagram so I can stalk your profile and we can connect more. And to get notified on the next episode here on Payday, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss a beat. Get out there, secure the bag, and I will see you next payday.